This is the facilities meeting scheduled for 5:30, and I'll let Dr. Herrera start.
Okay, great, thanks. We have a couple topics tonight: site logic, the 5-year facility plan, Garland roof update, custodial service, and just an announcement about Osha and our tour April 1st. Site logic, Rose and Jeff, we appreciate your efforts. We're excited about having a 5-year facility plan, and we'll turn the meeting over to you. To talk about the process and see if the committee has any questions.
All right, so what we've done is, and you have up on the screen right now, we go through what's called an asset condition assessment survey. We identify a whole host of things that we, on the site logic side of the fence, feel you need to entertain. And what we do out of the gate is assume a 4-year budget that you may or may not have. We do that because a lot of our clients sometimes have a multi-year plan already in place. Some of our clients do not. So we assume a 4-year plan, and that assumption does not have any bearing on what you decide going forward you want to do. That's just, you know, we identify 50, 60, 70 items. We break them off over the course of 1 to 4 years in this case. That has no bearing on what you decide at the end of the day. That's a starting point for you moving forward, thinking about how you want to do these projects. So by no means assume that our year 1 items and our year 5 or 4 items are etched in stone. They are just our first pass. What we often, and not often, always ask our clients to do is, this is our first pass for you as a starting point, and go through and decide amongst yourselves what you think your priorities need to be. This is just things we've identified, and again, they're a starting point. We fully expect you guys to go through and say, yeah, I don't agree with this, I disagree with that, and there's some items on this list that you're going to say, I don't think we're going to do it all. Let's push them down calendar to something that we need to worry about later. So think of it that way. Also, you need to think about the estimated costs that we provided. Think of them as what we call rough order of magnitude costs, because until you decide and say to us, Site Logic, we want you to look at the following 6, 10, 12 projects over the next 2 years. We want you to focus on them and roll them out for us. We will then go ahead and do a hard design and get that number narrowed down. So do not, by any stretch of imagination, assume that the estimates we're giving you are etched in stone. They're just, really it's for your business manager to say, over the course of the next 4 years, if you did all this work, it might add up to $6-8 million, just to get you understanding that that's the order of magnitude you might be dealing with, rather than just saying, $500,000 you're going to spend over the next 3 years versus $6 million over the next 5 years. We wanted to give you an understanding of the fact that if you go through all this stuff, you're going to spend more than what you might think. It's just for you, budgeting wise, year to year, year over year, what you might think you're dealing with. So with that being said, there are several things on this list that are not all inclusive. So what I don't want people to do is get your calculator out right now and add up everything you see and say, oh my God, there's $8 million we have to spend because the building's falling down. Do not panic, do not do that, okay? So there are things like, there's roofing alternatives at this building, particularly the first couple of 4 items between the main building and the annex that you have to choose from. There are several projects on that list that are like that. It's not all-inclusive, like you have to do all these things. So there are choices that need to be made. Next steps for you is to, and we had a meeting prior to this meeting where the facilities people here are going to go through this list. They're going to idiot check us because we don't walk on water. And we might have an assessment of what we think are your year 1 priorities, your year 2 priorities, your year 3 priorities, et cetera. But you guys live here and you're gonna tell us, yeah, we don't agree with a couple of these things, and you're gonna reassess this. There's a column on the far right of this spreadsheet that's called priorities. Yeah, there you go. That we are expecting you to do your due diligence and go down through there and say, you know, this item is priority 1, 2, 3, 4, however you want to assess it, and then downstream, down calendar, we will modify this list based on your input, because that's part of the process, on where you think these priorities lie. So that being said, we know the board has approved a roofing project, which we are going to, we're not ready today to concur with what the roofing manufacturer has said needs to happen going forward, but we will at your next meeting. But we know that there's a priority for roofing project that we are going to put forth as one of the initial projects. There are several items on this list that have to be evaluated by the school here. For instance, we found some things like the bottle fillers, the bottle fill stations that you put in the building. Very good thing for the students. They had problematic issues related to where they're located and where they're mounted. So for instance, there's some locations that don't comply with ADA. And it's fabulous you put them in. They're not at the right height. And some of them are not at the right location. Some of them are mounted next to electrical panels, receptacles. So you'll see things on this list that are like bottle refill relocation. That's what they're talking about. There's issues with our assessment of, even though it's not really that long ago that the flooring was done in the cafeteria, for instance, but it's in rough shape. So we identified it as something you might want to consider. And again, what year you want to address these things is completely up to you. This is just our first blush at, here's what we're seeing, here's what we suggest, but it has nothing to do with what you want to do at the end of the day. And I want to point out that when we do these assessments, there are things that we run across which we didn't run across here at this building, about like critical, like for instance, boiler failure. If we don't fix this boiler by next winter, we have a problem. We didn't run across any of those hardcore emergency failure things. If we did, they would show up on this list as year 0, critical mass, get it done now. We didn't see any of those things. So you guys have pretty much carte blanche on how you want to roll these things out. And again, there's no major heartburn on emergencies, and you have carte blanche to move things around, which we fully expect, and we deal with clients all the time to say, you know, our estimation of year 1 might not be your view of year 1, as far as whether you want to address it year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4.
Jack and Rose, as you can tell, we have a very supportive and knowledgeable board with facilities, so we appreciate everyone's input, given time and then just coming up with that process on how to prioritize that. Don, thank you for just jumping into this on a short time and getting all that information. So the Garland bids will be up next month. And I don't know if there's any questions.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. This is an excellent tool for us to do future planning. And I was in on that earlier meeting, so I kind of got all my questions out of the way and sort of even started prioritizing some things. But I think, at some point, we're probably going to sit down with, the facilities committee and Don and other people from the building, from the administration, and try to work this out so we can see like what do we want to do for next year. So when we're building the next year's budget and all this can be done. And you make a really good point about not getting your calculator out and adding it up. I know North Penn School District done one of these a few years ago, and it came back with their total. I mean, they have a lot of buildings, but their total was $500 million. So on the front of the Philadelphia Inquirer was, North Penn School District needs $500 million to make their buildings usable. And, everybody starts panicking, and then they're like, no, this is not what that is. And it took a lot of explaining. So, I'm glad you came in here. I'm glad you did a good job explaining it and laying it out. The question I had was, I know when you originally came in and proposed doing this, there was something you're doing down at Penn Ridge where they have like a web portal. Yeah. With a color-coded web portal.
So there's a tool that we probably presented to you guys. It's called My Side IQ. We will provide that for you guys because that's what we do as as one of our base services. And the only reason we're not giving it to you tonight is we need to go through that exercise of post us giving you our blush of where we think you're at. We need feedback from you to say, example. Here's a classic example. The quarter ceilings in this building, if you did major renovation down the road, not today, like you were gonna move classrooms around, move walls, all kinds of stuff, change your floor print, the quarter ceilings don't go up to the deck. So in our experience, when you consider that type of major renovation, the code officials usually come in here and say, whoa, foul. If you're going to do all this major renovation and you're going to make your corridors 1 hour rated, I'm not giving you an occupancy permit. So one of the items on the list we gave you is something to think about, not today because you're not considering anything near those types of renovations, but down the road, and we're probably going to move that down list from the list you've seen to something to think about if you're going to do that kind of stuff in the future. But we, as part of what we do, identify that kind of thing, that if you're going to do major renovations, you want to consider the fact that you might have to rate your corridors, because right now in this building, when it was built, it was perfectly code compliant. Today in this world, if you want to do a major renovation, your code official is going to say your corridor ceilings are not 1 hour. Your corridors are not 1 hour rated. So that last 8 inches that wasn't built when it was originally built up to the ceiling needs to be addressed if you do that. So that's an item on the list that you're not going to do that today, tomorrow. You might not do that for 10, 12 years, but it needs to be on the list for you to consider if you're going to do something down calendar that involves a major renovation. So that's some of the things that are on that list that will eventually, once you get back to us how you prioritize what we've given you, that we'll put down there as below the line, so to speak, that says things to think about down calendar if you're going to do the following. Major renovation, blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of things that'll come off this list about. I'm not worried about it now from your perspective, but we need to worry about it later. And then you're going to give us the priority, and then we're going to revamp this. And once we get that feedback back from you, then we're going to put all this information in that web-based tool you're talking about, the MySide IQ, so that moving out down calendar, not only do you have a perspective of what's happening across year to year, but you're gonna have the access to be able to decide amongst yourselves. We might say something, and after you've given us feedback, year 5, I want this to happen, but all of a sudden, something has ramped up, and you want it in year 2, not only can we change it, but you're gonna have the access to be able to change it, and we have not given that tool yet, because we want you guys to go through your exercise to say, all right, we're comfortable with what we've changed, we've updated it, and then we're gonna present you with that tool, that MySide tool.
Yeah, and then the only other question, like, you have replaced generator on here as year 3, for example. That generator, I'm looking at it right now, is built, that's from the 80s. It's certainly past its,
Useful life.
useful life,
Yeah.
but it works fine.
Yeah,
Right. But the other thing is, when you look on here at, a $70,000 cost, that's just to replace that generator. That generator may only power, the genset in this whole facility may only be a third of the building is covered by that generator. If we wanted to say increase that, there's a lot of engineering that would have to be involved with, with the whole electric system.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the reason why I pointed out the estimate. The estimate associated with the sheet you're showing is a rough order of magnitude, because if you decide in 3 years it's working fine, and lots of facilities are like that. I mean, we go into districts all the time where boilers are 30 years old and people are like freaking, oh my God, it's gonna fail. They're well maintained. We could probably do another 20 years with them. So we are not about changing out stuff that's well maintained. Generator as an example, if it's well maintained and we can get another 10 years out of it, we're not gonna come to you and say, do it this year, do it 3-4 years from now. But on your side of the fence, right now, the generator might have low voltage systems like your fire alarm, your control. It might have a couple of pieces of equipment in the kitchen, but you might want to add boilers. You might want to add heating pumps, so that if you have a power failure, generator runs and you can run your building. That's something that you decide down calendar that we react to. So that's exactly why we say, lay these things out under your priorities, and if the scope changes, that's why we're saying don't treat these costs as that's what's going to cost, but give you close to what it's going to cost. But when you say site logic in 2024, I want the generator changed and I want to expand it to include boilers, pumps, the whole 9 yards, we will provide a fully designed project that says, all right, here's what it costs.
Okay. I guess that as a facilities chairman, I'll say that I guess the next step would be that we should probably, set up that meeting at some point where we're going through this list with Don and you and whoever else wants to be there on the board, and and the facilities committee. And whoever else wants to be involved.
Also keep in mind that those 40 items that are on that list are our items. We also include anything that Don feels are in addition.
Yeah.
And we'll include all that in MySide IQ.
Oh, good.
And also understand that this is a partnership, okay? So there are things that we identified, there are things that Don pointed out to us, but over the course of the next 1, 2, 3 years, there are going to be things that are going to come up. And one of the things that we've heard numerous times is how you guys are getting a beating from the probably the DEP about your sewer charge. That angers me, because I've dealt with that in a couple of mid-state clients, where you're getting a flat fee that has no basis in reality to what you're paying. I am anxious to tackle that, because it's been a frustration for you, and I've been fairly successful, especially in rural districts, like for instance, districts that don't have gas, where I've been able to get gas companies to bring gas in for a reasonable fee. I'm anxious to take these things on, but what I'm trying to say is there are things going to change from year to year. They just do. And what's nice about the MySide IQ, once we get your feedback from what we provided to you, is it's a dynamic and live tool that you guys can use on a regular basis. And not only can you add things, but we can add things moving forward. It's not like, all right, we decide something at a board meeting next month and it's done for the next 10 years. Not the case with MySide IQ.
So when Dawn comes in and says she really can't stand the color of the carpet in this room, we can just attack
Yes.
right onto the list,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, does anybody have any further questions for Site Logic?
This is a process that's gonna happen over the next 6 months, right?
Well, yeah, this year's budget's done, like, we can't, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I could look over at Teresa right now and she'll like shoot flames out of her eyes. Anything else onto the budget this year? So, okay, well, thank you.
No, so in closing, I see many people here I see at Penn Ridge, which is frightening.
No, just three of us.
Actually, we consider it a good thing.
No, so do I, because you should be hearing the same story.
We do.
So to answer your question is, long term, I don't care if it's 6 months out, 18 months out, 24 months out. If you want us engaged, we will be engaged as little or as much as you need, because we have resources to do as little or as much as you need. So just let us know. And all I'll say in closing is that sewer stuff.
We'll let you have it.
I'm going to kill somebody to make that happen. All right.
Okay.
I'm being fictitious for me on the phone. Is that
Megan's
Megan?
chiming in, yep.
Yes. Jeff, thank you. Please tackle that tomorrow. So if you can put that on your agenda for tomorrow.
Megan, I'm going to put it at the top of my priority list.
Great.
All right. Anything else?
Thank you.
Oh, we'll get something to eat before we go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have, I think about 2015, we signed an agreement with Osha, which is best practice. They are in consultation with Indiana University of Pennsylvania. They come in, they work with our students, and they work with our faculty. In the past, our occupational advisory committees at night would come in and provide guidance, but our students weren't here, they weren't seeing it, they're the experts. So over the course of this time, we have less and less issues, and so we're super proud on that. We would like to invite any member of the JOC who would like to do a safety walk and tour. It's fabulous. Kim is in the audience, and your thoughts on the OSHA consultative program?
I like it. I was just going to say to Mrs. Mandato that when they come through, one of the new disinfectants that we got last year to satisfy state board cosmetology, well, not even last year, 2 years ago, through all the pandemic stuff, I want to make sure I have it labeled correctly for OSHA. Like, you know, they talked to us before about like different ways to label some bottles down there. So just remind me that day when they come through, I want to talk to him about that. So they're very proactive, and like we ask them, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And they give us an honest answer. And with the renovation, we had some nail tables down there up against the wall, but then like 8-foot extension cords in a little space like this. And he's like, well, you got two choices. And I'm like, well, the first choice is stupid. So let's go with the second choice. And he agreed that was the better option. So we fixed that. But they're very, very good. And then the kids do get to see, they learn about OSHA, and they see, like, right now we're hearing, oh, State Board of Cosmetology isn't real. We think they're fictional because they haven't been in because of the pandemic. But then they see OSHA come in and they know that these people really are real. It's not just something in their textbook.
They meet with us monthly. They review all accidents. We do accident investigations, near misses, SDS, they tour, they come in during the summer. So it's the best practice, and everyone's welcome. If you're interested, let us know.
What time?
It'll be all day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was gonna come, but I will be out of town that day.
It's a Friday.
It's April 1st.
That's when you can stack 2 ladders on top of each other, and that's okay.
No black cats or
April Fools.
It's a perfect day for Bob. Let's get my stuff.
No, don't do that.
And, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I guess item B on there, we wanna talk to, David and
So we have a motion for custodial service
okay.
update, that's listed on the agenda for tonight. We're gonna get started. Mrs. Dennis Clemens, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, great. Is it okay if we started the program?
Yes.
Great. So the enrollment update, what a year we've had. So Andy Hammer, who's the Skills USA Executive Director, stated they didn't mean to miss a beat, meaning Upper Bucks County Tech School. We earned the most medals at the district competition, and he credits that to being in session during the pandemic. So we want to thank the JOC for all the support, the teachers, the students for their engagement. It was duly noted, and when you go to those meetings with 5 other tech schools, it's a proud moment. So congratulations to the JOC, the teachers, et cetera. We know that enrollment is our lifeline at UBCTS. And you would think that all these schools are experiencing the same good problems of increased enrollment that we are, but not the case. Because of the pandemic, because of the success, because of the support from the JOC, and the sending schools, our website, our enroll track, where we had students directly apply to us for the last couple of years, it's working. So collectively, we're also very excited about that increased enrollment. The enrollment totals, which we shared, we have first choice spots, and what's really nice is we have Take Exercise Science, new program, which we're asking the JOC to endorse tonight, has 41 students.
Awesome.
33 new students, 8 transfer students. You'll see a number of our programs have, and this is only first choice, it's a process working collectively with the assistant soups, where we place students, and then there's second and third choices. And you have an opportunity to go through this. As of today, there are, Quakertown has 52 students still that are trying to get placed. This is up and updated, 36 at Penn Ridge, and Palisades has 10. Advanced manufacturing for first choice was a little bit slow. We've been working with Jack Funder, Kip Anthony, Penn Engineering. We're lucky to have the best of the best manufacturing in Bucks County. We will have an aggressive plan moving forward, working with the sending school districts to make sure that that will never be an issue in terms of first choice with our machining, advanced manufacturing. Mr. Funder started a statewide program, What's So Cool About Manufacturing. He's working with us. Corey Armedio, who's with PBR Productions, getting the message out. So over the course of the summer, we're going to get together and put together a very strategic plan with that.
Is this out of the ordinary amount of people on waiting list for this time of year?
It's above average. That's a good point, because we want to have some historical data. So we did, we know that there's some students that transfer for various reasons, and this year we included that or accounted for that in our numbers. So because of that, we're looking at, with the waiting list, that we can't rely on maybe 2 kids per program that decides not to come, et cetera. Those numbers were included when we put this plan together.
Okay, and I did see that the exercise science program has 20 students, where the others mostly have 23. is that just because it's new and you didn't wanna overload it at first, or is that the maximum that you? So if you have 43 students enrolled, so, you know, having 20 per session, you'd have 3 on the waiting list then to get that for their first choice. But if other programs can take 23, can this one take like 22 and 21?
Well, and that was in the session, and we just put that placeholder for 20. And so we're pleasantly surprised that there's 41, and all 41 of those students are placed in.
Oh, good.
And we advertised for that, Mrs. Graham, and we've had an applicant already, again, using, so, yeah, we're really excited about that. Because that's gonna bring in 40-some students new to the building, and, yeah, that's that. Any questions, comments? I know this is, the reason why we went out of order, it's usually finance and programs, is because we need to account for that in the budget, right? And there's some decisions, more students, potentially 75 plus in the building, with smart growth, and historically, the programs have been, similar in the number of students that aren't able to get into their first choices.
We have granularity of where the pinch points are as far as capacity goes, whether it's facilities for this program or instructor for this program.
Yeah, yes.
Can we get a copy of where the pinch points are, where because we want to try to get rid of the waiting list. You know, having 80 kids not being able to do what they want to do is.
That's just their first choice, right?
Yeah, and that
Not
is
what our charter is, and it's a good problem to have that's going to get better.
Yes. So for COS right now, first choice, and we have Kim and Barb here, like we have 2 teacher program. There's 53 students that put that down for their first choice, and then there's 16 spots, right? So I'll do a breakdown, Mr. Shermer.
Yeah, but is it instructor, is it classroom, or is it lab space, you know?
It's mainly lab space now.
Okay. So what we should do is we should look at a plan to relieve the pinch points. So going into next year, we have 100 extra seats. If we have to put another instructor on, or find a way to create lab space so we can accommodate all the students in the Ascendant districts, because I think we're going to see a renaissance in the trades. And again, good problem to have, but you know, we have to start thinking a couple of years out. It takes 2 years to do anything, you know, by the time you're all said and done.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think we did, I mean, we were sort of talking about it before, where you're looking into areas where we could possibly add another instructor to increase capacity there, or even free up some space if possible for kids leaving on co-op. And
So for healthcare, for example, so there's 2 hats in the CT school: it's education, it's workforce development. There's a critical shortage of nurses, et cetera. It used to be a 2-teacher program. Here's an example where we have 1 teacher and we have an empty classroom. Per se, that's not really maximized. So that would be one example of, and when we talk to the assistant superintendents, they endorse that, you know, that's a good example for 2 teachers. They would recommend that moving forward. The other one was the ag building, because of the space, because of the continued interest in that. It could become a school within a school, because right now we have 2 wonderful teachers, very broad, a lot of interest. Adding a 3rd teacher there, especially with the CASE program, will also increase opportunities for college credits. And that's something that we can explore for those 2 areas that are immediate, more short-term than building, et cetera.
but there's some programs like cosmetology, I'm just looking because the teachers are here, they only have so many stations in there. So putting 40, putting 3rd, 4th teachers in there isn't necessarily gonna increase the amount of students we could bring in. I'm sure they would.
That would go in
extra
modular.
help, but.
Cosmetology could go in a modular. I mean, what I'm saying is to increase this square footage. Let's see what the pinch points are, see where we're falling short, because, you know, one student on a waiting list is, well, you know, we're falling short. See what we need to do. If we can do something economically to accommodate more of those students, then we should sit down and do it. But, you know, that 10%, roughly 80 kids out of 800 that we can't serve that's troubling to me.
We appreciate
But
that.
again, it takes 2 years to do anything, so we're not gonna be able to pull around it next year, but maybe the year after.
I believe, and Chuck, I believe we were gonna consider, when talking about the budget, I guess, in the next committee, having a placeholder on there for one teacher, is that correct, Teresa? We're gonna be considering
Well,
to add,
it came back out.
oh,
You guys have to talk about the
well, no,
22nd.
but that's what I mean,
Yes.
that's up
That's
for
up to you
consideration
guys,
tonight,
right.
that's what
Yeah.
when we were in that agenda meeting, that's exactly how I thought we were gonna do it, I didn't know it was like in, like I thought we were gonna consider it, so we would be able to see what the impact would be.
It would be considered, there was some discussion whether or not if we wanted to put in $360,000 for 2 teachers in those areas, potentially healthcare for a second teacher or ag tech as the numbers.
And that would be something
Well,
for
the
you
board
to
has to consider if that's worth, if that amount of money is worth it cutting down the headcount list. I mean, you pretty much know where I'd be, but, you know, it's not a little bit of money. If it cuts down on the waiting list, I'd be inclined to support it. Again, it's an unknown pinch point, you know, if that helps us out, but let's do it. But if there's a facility that we need, let's do that. You know, let's put it in the budget for next year or the year after. But want to start looking a couple years out now. Certainly things will settle down. And the presentation from SiteLogic was good. We did something very similar in Quakertown. Right, Ms. Rashina was on that committee in 2014, 2015. We did an assessment on all the buildings and had a 10-year plan. And the price tag of that,
66 million.
It was
$160 million.
It was a lot of money.
And everybody they went screaming down the hall with their hair on fire. So the guy's right. I mean, we cut that down, but my point is that let's start looking a couple years out, budget a couple years out, because, you know, I can see 1,000 students here, and which is phenomenal, you know.
I like the way you think, and we will definitely run on board with that. So thank you for excellent advice. The stakeholder meeting this year, we presented grants, we presented a lot to the JOC, the teachers, and the faculty. Recently, we had a comprehensive local needs assessment, which was submitted to the state. They were very satisfied with that. We had Bucks County on the board. We had Thompson Business Workforce Development, our teachers, our association, an excellent group, student parents that came in looking at that comprehensive plan. That's really going through a lot with our data. It was an excellent day trying to get that vision, shared vision, and the importance. And we have a lot of people that are super excited to get that number to Mr. Shermer that you said, 1,000+ students. And so I wanted to publicly thank everyone that participated in that meeting, and there's a lot of work that's involved with that. Exercise science, we mentioned, there's 41 students. And just a last note, the National Technical Honor Society started that in 2014. I remember everyone saying it came and gone because we didn't have an active chapter. Kim was on those initial meetings. Proudly stated, we have 271 students that we've acknowledged over that time, which is amazing. We partnered with Paul Lorenz, the Percy Rotary, and we are going to be partnering with the Quakertown Rotary. So we want to be that funnel for workforce development and service, and that's a big, reading the bios that are coming in for March 28th, Monday. They're so inspiring. Remember last year I had the first PA national student. He was a Eagle Scout. Reading the bios, we said there's 3 Eagle Scouts this year giving back in service. So our students are setting the bar and leaving a legacy. And we have 25 students that submitted applications for the 28th. Each year we recognize people for honorary memberships. Dr. Diamond, who was at the last meeting, and Mr. Linden will be inducted this year. Everyone's invited, and we're looking forward to another positive night. Mrs. Dennis Clemens, anything to add for program?
No, I think you covered it. I think we're definitely gonna have to take a close look at our enrollment situation, and then see what we can do to accommodate as many kids as possible to bring kids into our programs. And so that's a discussion I hope we'll be able to explore more in the future, but I'm really excited about everything that you guys are doing. And it sounds like the exercise science program is going to be a big hit. So that's great.
Okay, thank you. Teresa, we'll turn over for finance.
Okay, so tonight we're gonna do the budget for the 22-23 school year. Mark, do you wanna just kind of?
Yeah, just tell me, just make it, okay, there you go. It's always important, that's our mission and vision and things like that.
Okay, I mean, we could just start with the timeline on slide 5 there. We're hoping to have you guys bless the budget tonight and then present that we can move forward to present to the sending schools in March and April. And then sometime between March and May, your sending boards would approve the recommended budget, and then in June, we would submit it to PDE for approval.
We must ensure all of our students are college and career ready, increasing rigor and relevance with focusing on student achievement, our NACI continuous plan, which we've been working on for a couple of years now. We're looking to assess all students after year 1 to get better data. Innovation and improved programming, taking our programs and building them, giving them more opportunities. The brand and reputation of our school is utmost. In terms of strategic enrollment management, as birth rates are declining, we have to make sure that all of our programs are top-notch, because 0 students have to come to us, and we're going to have hopefully 850 that choose it. Culture and climate is part of our comprehensive plan, and customer service. That goes with the record number of people that are coming into our bakeries, our kitchen, our cosmetology. That customer service with our faculty, our students, our board members is important. Our goals is to the curriculum, culture, climate, and enrollment in attendance. They all work together. Honor the past, acknowledge the present, and the current theme is design the future. What does 1,000 students look like at Upper Box? Or how can we serve as many students as possible? JOC, creating shared vision around goals, be strategic with our planning, manage resources. The core of the teacher, content, and student has to continually be improved. Staff, monitoring, we have a wonderful faculty, continue to prioritize and work with them. Student organizations, you'll see a big emphasis on skills and FFA, which we'll put up against anyone in the state. And then HOSA, let's not forget about HOSA, we'll continue to focus with those CTSOs. And key community groups and individuals, there's a lot of people from businesses, agencies, organizations that want to get involved. We're going to engage them. I just wanted to put the exercise science slide in there. Super excited. And I'll turn it back over to Teresa.
So we'll go down to start with slide 12. And that will show the overall budgets for the general fund, the capital fund, and the food service fund. The general fund budget has a 5.13% increase, but that includes reimbursement that'll go back to the sending schools for the ag building renovation, if you remember that, of the $776,000. Food service overall has an increase of 49.5%, but last year when we did the budget, we didn't know Quakertown was coming to have, be served here. So that budget really didn't include for this year, their students coming in.
So it does now, though, correct?
For the 22-23, it will, yes. So the Act 1 index is the 3.4% for the year, for the current year we're living in, it was 3%. The 22-23 budget will show an addition of a new program. We're expecting an increased number of students, as Dr. Herrera said. We're looking to hire additional facilitators. There's an increased cost for materials, and we're anticipating increased costs for fuel, electric, propane. So that's pretty much our significant changes. On slide 14 there. That basically, again, is just going over our operating revenue and where that comes from. If you go to slide 15, the sending district's revenue. So there's a formula that we have, and it's basically the revenue from the prior year, so the 21-22, plus we add the Act 1 index of the 3.4%. And then that gives us the operating revenue based on 5-year average. And then we have the, from the audit, it's either we add or subtract, depending if we have an overage of revenue and expenditures. So this year, there was more revenues. When I say this year, I'm sorry, it should be the 2021 year, there was an overage of revenue. So then we reduce the amount owed that the schools owe to the tech school by the $100,000. So that's where the contributions come in for the sending schools. Slide 16, we'll talk about basically our contributions from the funding sources. So basically, the sending schools are our biggest source of revenue. But then for 22-23, there'll be federal funding that will include the ARPSers grant money that we're using some of that for the year. And then there's also the subsidy funding, which includes the Social Security, PSERS, and the Voc Ed. And then if we go down, slide 17, this will be our ADMs, the 5-year average of the ADMs. And if you look, there is actually an increase of 69 students between the 2021 actual and the 21-22 PIMS October 1st report. Does anybody have any questions before we keep going?
So we had 69 more students than we were budgeting for last year and still came in under budget because of all the grants and everything else.
So there's grants, there was positions that weren't filled right away, so we had retirements or stuff like that. So then, they might sit open for a few months, so there's savings in those.
But ultimately, we had more students and spent less than we were anticipating.
Yes.
Check.
Yes. Okay, so then.
I need it really boiled down to the ultimate simple levels there.
Then on slide 18, again, that's just going to show the portions of each of the schools that fluctuates then with your ADMs and how many you have for each school year over the 5-year average. Palisades has a decrease, and then Penridge has a 5.7% increase. And Quakertown will have a 0.33% increase. Slide 20 goes over to show basically on our object codes, which is based on salary, benefits, professional services, so basically it's the chart of accounts, how the object codes are based out. And about 68% of the budget does go to salaries and benefits. Slide 21 will show the year-to-dates and the budget to actuals. I'm sorry, not the year-to-dates, the budget to actuals for each category for the salary. So you'll see that there is going to be an increase in the salaries, and again, that will be adding a new program, so a teacher for that. We've budgeted 4 facilitators in there, and then that will also show the business manager and the accountant going back into your salary and benefits. PSERS, there's a slight increase in their contribution rate there. The benefit piece for the medical insurance, even though the rates have gone down, you're again adding positions that will be eligible for the health insurance.
And aren't they age banded as well, so everyone's got a little bit older, so,
Well, not for the health insurance,
Oh, it
not for
doesn't?
the medical. I
okay.
don't think that's how it works. For debit. Then there's also, you'll see tuition increases having increased some. That would be based for, we have a lot of new teachers who will have to work on their both 1 and 2 certifications. So you'll have tuition costs based on that. Then you'll see the professional services does go down. That's with the IU contract not being there, and then it goes up into the salaries and benefits. The property service and repairs, that has an increase for a lot of repairs that we're kind of looking to do. That will also include $50,000 to go towards the roof.
Wasn't that 80,000?
Well, that was 88,000, that'll be in the capital. So the one that we first approved was going to come out of the Fund 30 capital.
Oh, so you're talking about that second roof project that they have in here
Mhm.
for the,
So there's 50,000.
under year 1, so you are budgeting for that, okay.
Yeah, so for the roofing, that should all be under there. Well, except for the 6,000, because I was off when I was making my estimation there. But there is some, there'll be some you'll see in the Fund 30 that there is some money going to be left over in that. Sorry, let me just look at everything else that is under that. 610s. So we're anticipating the new program. Obviously, there'll be increased software supply costs for that, increased fuel costs. Currently, I have budgeted $3.50 for fuel. We're paying $1.57 a gallon right now, but obviously that will be going up. So at this point, I don't think anybody's recommending to lock into fuel prices. So we will be seeing how that plays out. We will be needing to go out to bid for propane, and the electricity bid, I believe, is up in the spring of next year. We have in there to upgrade our Niagara system. And then additional software, Share 911, Blaze Mark, and we're also looking to upgrade the time clock system and onboarding software. In your, 700s equipment, there is a slight decrease. It's pretty much across the board. In that money, though, is $11,500 towards a maintenance mower if our mower needs it. And then in the object codes, 800s for the certifications and dues. That is for increased memberships and for student certifications. So does anybody have any questions on any of that piece?
Where is that extra professional staff person that we were talking, or two, that we were talking about, putting into the budget, but not necessarily hiring, if, to.
So if you would like to add to it, we can either add it to the budgetary reserve line and put in a cost of that. This budget does not reflect any of that. This only has in there the 4 facilitators, the new program, and the 2 business office positions.
So the discussion we were having was, if Dr. Herrera does, in talking to all the programs, come up with, say, hey, we can add somebody in healthcare and somebody in ag tech, so now we can bring in an additional, 40 students or whatever into these programs, is that something, if it's not in the budget now, we may not be able to hire that teacher. So leaving that in there as a placeholder, whether we hire that teacher or not, we have the budget to do it. And if we don't hire it, that just comes back to us at the end. So since we are seeing such a discrepancy or disparity in the amount of students coming in, the amount of students on a waiting list, do we want to set that budget aside to say, maybe we're going to add a teacher or two teachers in here? Because we can't add that money in there if it's not in the budget. Right now, how many students do we have total on the waiting list?
I think it's over 100.
So, I mean, that may be, and there's a lot on the waiting list in those two programs that we know, that we've identified now that probably could benefit from hiring another teacher.
It doesn't mean we're automatically doing it, it's just,
Yeah.
you're just putting monies in there. And then there has to be a lot more discussion and working with the 3 sending school districts, with the assistant superintendents, to make sure that we're placing and we're doing it without risk. And obviously working with our faculty and teachers on how that looks like. There is some work to do for that.
And obviously, the JOC still approves the hires. So like I said, we put the money in, if we don't spend it, it comes back to us.
But you can't do it if you don't put the money
We
in.
can't do it if we don't put the money in. That's the question.
What is the dollar amount?
Well, she said it's about 180 per teacher,
So, well,
all in with taxes and
it
benefits.
depends on where you hire them on the scale though,
Correct.
so and I'm gonna refer hiring to Tracy, sorry.
Well,
But-
fully loaded in Quaker Jones, about 150,000.
So if you put
Fully
somebody
loaded.
in a master's degree, say F09, that's $88,000 roughly next year. That's just their salary.
And you got 34% PSERS and medical benefits on top of that.
Because of the job requirements for exercise science, we anticipated that they would need a master's, et cetera. And not necessarily anticipating that for these positions. Maybe the healthcare, because it's very difficult, we know, we got very lucky with the latest hire. But, so just keeping that in mind in terms of budget.
It all depends where they fall on the scale. I mean, we can't predict that.
Sure, the candidates come in and where the reality of the program actually ramp it up to speed.
So basically, it's an insurance policy for us to say, if we do still have a lot of students on the waiting list, we can possibly cut that down, possibly, but we want to at least leave that door open, because if we don't have any room in the budget to add these extra instructors, we won't be able to do it.
What year are you talking about? Because you'd have to ramp up pretty quickly, it's up in 22, 23. So you're talking about teaching in a program?
Well,
Just being
we wouldn't be starting a new program, we'd be adding teachers to current programs, and I guess you've identified, like, right off the top of your head, ag and healthcare would be two areas that we possibly.
The healthcare, there's another classroom, and it used to be a 2-teacher program. Using the case in the ag, with the classroom and space that we have, it is possible. Early stages.
That's what I want. It's possible there's room and there's space, and that's what I was looking
For
for.
those
Yeah,
two.
and that's why I said, at least those two programs. Now, do you have the demand in healthcare? Like, you have a waiting list for healthcare, and you have a waiting list for, obviously, you always have a waiting list for ag, right? Yeah.
I'm happy to make sure the kids have the spots, but we gotta have the room, we gotta have the teachers, we gotta be able to ramp up to speed when they're ready to go. And is that feasible?
Can always put more in.
Yeah, we're not changing the program, we're just,
My concern is allocating the proper dollar amount. So we want to look at it from the standpoint of going higher versus trying to lowball it. But I think that's really something we're gonna have to look towards you from the standpoint of the type of teacher you wanna put in place, and their achievements and what their qualifications are, which are really gonna dictate what their salary is and their benefits. So Chuck, you could be right, it could be 150 per teacher. I don't know what that number is.
No, I'm just saying that the
No, no,
average,
yeah,
the
just-
average fully loaded head count in Quakertown is 150,000, which is a population of 500 people, so it's gotta be somewhere around that. It shouldn't be more.
Well, it better not be.
Yeah. Well, it's not, I know it's not more. I know it's not.
Yeah, probably only 40 students, if you put 2 teachers in at the same time.
Right, that, I mean, that's my biggest question is from a space perspective, because you can only fit so many people in. But do we have any semblance of what is even possible?
Tracy brought up a really good point there too, is that bringing students in, like, yes, we may have the classroom space there, but what about when they go to lunch? Do we have room in the
Yeah, no,
cafeteria? Do we
that's what I'm
have
saying,
staff in the
like,
cafeteria? that-
Can you
That's why you ask
fit
the questions.
everybody?
Yeah, so,
That's why you have the conversation, so you can.
yeah,
Is it
but
realistic?
I said,
Well, it goes
I
back
mean,
to-
I'm all for
preliminary
cramming
budget.
another 100 kids in here and giving them the
I would be
opportunity.
happy to.
I will do anything to figure that out.
Yes.
It all goes back to understanding what the pinch points are, working it
He's
through,
not pinching.
and making sure that we can do it.
But since we have,
We guarantee, if we don't put some money in the budget, we guarantee we do nothing.
yeah,
That's
Yeah,
true.
no, I'm okay to
Yeah,
do
Me,
that.
I'm not happy with that. I mean, to have 80 kids that wanna go to tech school, we can't send them to tech school because we didn't wanna. Stinks. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I think we're, I think we're.
Bucking and half in there.
agree with that.
We'll figure out what the pinch points are, and
To
if
make
we have
sure
to
it all
add,
adds
if we
up,
have to add modulars or, be creative, let's figure out how to do it, but. you know,
So do we
My,
have agreement?
my
that
son
we're looking at
graduated from here, so,
2 new
so
positions?
and he's
Well, no,
done very well, so.
It's a possibility,
I have
that
a
yes,
lot
we
of
could add
energy.
2 positions currently with the current configuration. And do you think we'll be okay with with food service and the rest of the staff won't be impacted?
We have to really look into that, but I think putting the 2 positions as a marker in, we will definitely, that's the direction of the JOC. We will look at, and Mr. Gale's in here, we will do our due diligence and working with our faculty and staff.
Let's understand what the impacts are.
I
Maybe
think
we
Gina,
can.
Yeah.
Gina's concern
Which
really
would
will
really
be,
stink, but maybe we can, too.
So,
I think Gina's concern is the spacing for the cafeteria, how many kids we can fit in there. If it's gonna be able to have a second or third lunch, like a second session of lunch or figuring something out like that. And then really how many staff she's gonna need to increase to keep the kids moving so they're not standing in line half the time. So it's a bigger impact than just.
That was in the details.
Right, right.
Detail.
And then it is, again, that'll be increased supplies and software and books, and I don't know if there's, you know,
It's not
desks and
realistic to
chairs
just
or
a teacher
something like
or
that,
2.
right? There's always stuff, right?
Well, do you
That's why
then
We asked the question.
advise that we do put this buffer in there, into the budget, and do you think that you can work out these logistical issues of lunches, or just say, you know what, we really looked at it and we can't do it, and then ultimately we'll end up probably getting some money back at the end of the year if we can't get the students in without making
You mean our money back?
That's fine.
more configurations, but
If the board wishes to move in that direction, we would love the chance to get more students in here to serve. And we will be very strategic, we're not gonna just, yes, we're not able to serve
What's
them
realistic to put in real numbers?
from the day, you know, the first foot in until the first foot out. And then back to the sending schools, we would be willing to move in that direction if you see fit.
Correct, so we'd have to have real numbers to go to the sending schools, because you're looking at coming to the April meeting, committee meetings. Approval of numbers, correct?
I'm actually gonna, we're scheduled, I think,
April.
next Thursday, whoever has a meeting on the 24th.
we have one on the
Quakertown.
24th.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we're scheduled for, on the 24th for Quakertown.
Yeah.
So unless that's gonna
finance
have to get
meeting.
pushed back and we're pushing everything back, then.
No, I mean, that's why I said, I believe we could make this decision now to at least put these placeholders in.
I would like to see more
I'd like to see more
closer to
data on
that
it.
fact. I understand teachers, but the whole picture, I think is important.
But we're not committing to hire them, I think.
100% agree, 100% agree. I'd like to
Yes.
see just all the numbers.
So even if we only hire one teacher, but
I understand.
more staff in the cafeteria, all of that.
All those add up, so that's all I'm asking for, so we have a realistic number. I understand, I want the
Well,
kids,
that's what we're
I want all
trying
the
to get
kids
now,
seated.
that's as good as we're gonna get.
So that's what I'm saying, so if we push it back a month, is that a problem?
Yes.
Yes.
Getting close.
So then, so that, I don't.
Budget timeline,
I'm
yes.
finance chair at Penn Ridge, so I understand that, but I'm saying, so then what's the reality of getting the numbers by the first, what do you mean, in Quakertown?
Well, no, I mean, she can't just show up at Quakertown with the new budget. We have to approve it
I know, that's
here
what I'm saying.
first.
What I'm saying, is it realistic to have those numbers realistic?
So if we push it back a month, that means we don't see it here until the end of April, which gets it into May, aren't you?
That's our
Most of us are
first, that's our
approving
first vote on the
budgets
budget.
by the end of
May's our
May.
first. Which would be before our, actually,
We should
yeah.
have another meeting. Know how
No,
this
we
all
have
goes.
No, but that's what I said. I mean, you're not gonna have the full picture. But if we put,
I'd like a better picture, that's all.
This
That's
is
all I'm
fine,
asking for.
this is, I want a better picture.
That's all I'm asking.
I understand where you're coming from.
And trust me, I would love to have all the students,
Real hazy.
no waiting list, it's not that, it's a matter of just making sure we can actually feasibly do it, that's all. That's all, I put the money there, but make sure we can feasibly do it.
I don't know what you want.
If you put the line item
Closer,
in,
closer to the
Have to
number,
close the
approve
budget out.
additional-
and then if you can't do it, you get it back.
I understand it, Chuck, I'm a finance chair, it's better, I understand that,
Or
but
we can drill this down to
Yeah.
the tiles needed on the floor if you want to, but, you know, we don't have the time. Because we gotta
no,
get this out to the.
but to Dave and Bob, to your point, and Tracy just said this quietly, but I'll repeat it. She said, if you put the chunk of money in, right, which may only then, if we find out later that we need more cafeteria staff and everything else, you can take that, what that second teacher's part was, you can only add one teacher then, so we can get another 40 students in at least, but add one teacher and then the extra cafeteria staff that we would need. So by approving that chunk, we're opening the door to more kids.
So we're looking for an allocation for new students coming on board.
Yes.
That allocation is gonna be X.
Mhm.
By being X, we will support either a teacher or support services or two teachers. At this point, we don't know if it's gonna be two or one,
Correct.
because we don't know all the numbers associated with our support staff to accommodate the new students.
But by approving this, we're opening the door
I
tonight.
just wanna make sure we all understand the parameters.
Yeah,
Because if we get down to a crunch time, I don't wanna hear someone go, we should have hired another teacher.
yeah,
Well, we couldn't because we didn't have the numbers for it.
mhm, yeah.
Realize this is going, we would put it in the budgetary reserve. So
Understand.
it's really unallocated, but it can go anywhere.
Right, I understand. Just that I wanna make sure we all understand that this could be one teacher, or it could be two teachers, or, you know, it could be
Or
just
maybe
one
none,
teacher
we
who
don't know.
supports that.
But
Or it could be no
we
teachers.
guarantee that we do nothing if we don't put anything in the.
I understand that, right?
That's
So
what we guarantee.
So now I'm gonna throw a number, what's your number?
yeah,
Talking 150,000.
That's only for one teacher.
teacher,
That's,
we're looking for a total number,
We're looking for a total
because we're
number.
looking for a budget number.
What do you think?
so it's two positions, 300,000.
There we go.
No, you hire people, so you basically tell them what they get paid. Yeah, yeah. We didn't have enrollment numbers 2 months ago, that's,
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
yeah.
Well, 300,000 certainly
300 would, I would say
would
200.
certainly do a lot.
Correct, that's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking.
Probably, I would say 300 or 360. You would like your four.
He's spending money like it's Quakertown.
That's how come we have a tight budget. I would say
Remember, we're with the
250.
coverage budget.
Then we won't get two teachers.
No, you might.
Or you might have to look at other areas that need to be trimmed back.
There you go.
See, it's.
Oh,
That's thinking like a true Penn Ridge person.
Well,
Priorities, sorry.
Okay, well then, I think we are, well, this is your committee, you can move us
I've
forward.
heard 250, 300, 360. You want to just pick a number? What do you think?
300's in the middle.
I'll just go around real quick.
What's your number, John?
What's my number?
Yeah.
300,000.
I can move. Yeah.
300?
Sure.
Remember, 56% of that's Quaker Towns.
I know.
if we can,
46, yeah.
47.
Yeah.
if we can grab 56 or 57, it's fine.
Penn Ridge gets 43.
If we can somehow figure it out, like I said, I don't want to deny kid an opportunity.
No, I don't either, that's my point, but as long as we can figure out the details.
So the details will come.
I'm hoping real soon,
Yeah, real quick.
real soon, before our committee meeting. No pressure.
And Chris keeps saying, if we don't approve it,
Correct.
it's spent.
I agree.
So
I'll make a motion, we do 300,000.
I would say that's a realistic number.
That's a realistic number,
we don't lose it.
and we can go back, we can go forward, we can decrease it if we need.
I agree, I think 300 is reasonable. I think that would get the job done. And that could-
3, you're at 3.
David Kahn even nodded his head.
I'm just trying to keep it.
So Teresa, is that gonna devastate your budget?
I can make any changes that you guys want me to,
Okay,
okay?
For Quaker Town, it's up.
Well, it's selling it to the rest of the boards that you need to make sure that you guys have the support at your home schools
yes.
for it.
Understand?
How about Megan? She's been very quiet.
Bernie's got coffee.
Well, so we have to kind of keep flying because I'm over my
Yeah.
time here. So for debt service, you'll see that there is a reduction in debt service. Penridge and Quakertown both are paying off the 2014 bond. So there will be a decrease in that. We go to slide 27 is the total then for the total expenditures of 11,771,000 with the revenue projections. And then needed to fund, balance the budget is another $919,000.
Is that
Additional 300.
Well, that would be another 300,000 on top of that.
That's not coming out of fund balance, or will?
Well, it comes out of fund balance, but you guys have to pay
So
it
you won't
back
see
in
any
2
change.
years if we go over the amount.
School funding at this point. I mean, it'll show up for 2 years.
All right. So then,
if it's spent, it'll show up in 2 years. Yeah.
well, my God, they have to approve it, I can't hurry too much, okay.
Okay.
Future planning, Site Logic is doing the capital projects review. If you look at slide 31, that would be, we have $88,000 in there for the roof work, $40,000 for switches if they're not completed in the 21-22 school year. If it is completed in the 21-22 school year, that project will still come out of the capital but won't be in the 22-23 budget. Food
Adrian,
service.
do you have any timeline on when that might get done? Any word?
Slide 32 is for food service. They have needed support from the general fund for the last 2 years. I think for this current year, that they actually, with the waivers, and we're feeding about 500 students a day, and the funding that we're getting, we had less staff than we had needed, so they are actually looking really good for the food service. However, next year, it doesn't look like the waivers will continue, and it's anticipated for lower reimbursements. And then, of course, again, due to increased costs, supply chains, and ongoing negotiations, will anticipating about a $90,000 transfer from the general fund to the food service fund. And then, you may have any questions about that?
I don't believe those USDA reimbursements are happening.
And then for the rest, does anybody have any questions on the budget other than that? So then for the rest of the bills pending, does anybody have any questions on the finances at all?
I was up the other day and the program didn't see anything. Let's see anything, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. And then that would be it.
Okay. So we will have a vote on the preliminary budget tonight then?
With the change of adding $300,000 to the budgetary reserve.
Okay.
Okay, we have great timing. 9 minutes for policy, March policy updates. This is what Tina would do, I think.
Yes, I'm sorry, yeah, let's rock and roll, so we can get started on time.
Teresa, so the block of second reading that's listed, we did make one change. Teresa, do you want to highlight 610?
Yeah.
Which is listed on the agenda for public comment?
There's two changes I wanted to do under the price quotations. Change the wording from the to within. It's under price quotations number 2. And then also, there's a sentence in there that says the written price quotations, written telephonic price quotes and memorabilia shall be kept on file. And we wanted to add the word minimum of 3 years so that it is actually in line with our record retention policy.
Any questions on the policies which we're going to vote on tonight? And then the new policies, Tracy, do you want to touch base on the 300 ones? Sorry. First reading to committee, and then the new ones that we're looking at tonight are
Just minor changes with some language going forward. I'll work on the previous week.
These are all based on recommendations from DSBA?
Yes, yeah. Like the gifts, sometimes parents will give gifts up to $25 to, so we have the policy and then we have regs that go along with that. The political activities is that, obviously you can't get involved with that in the school, and you're still entitled. Those are just minor recommended updates to language, and they've been vetted through the SBA.
I know that there's the one, that freedom of speech for students and staff outside the school. There's been recent court cases about this. I'm not exactly sure if the language is correct on this. I don't know if Mr. Khan looked at it.
Is that 2020?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on, I was just,
320.
oh, it hasn't changed?
Well, your 300s are employees, aren't they?
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
isn't for students.
But it didn't affect the.
That case you're thinking of was specific to students.
Specific to students?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's actually 320, it hasn't changed. What you're seeing is still what's out there from prior,
Okay,
so there's not one.
okay.
It's actually
You are probably right that the student speech section is out of date at this point, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. All right, and the 920, the speech in the meetings is, or 903.
Yeah.
9 something, I can't recall it offhand. That's something that would probably have to be addressed too, because of the recent case down in Pennsbury School District.
Yes, but that's not actually over yet. I know they have been attempting to negotiate and agree policy. They're not there, that I know of, but if they do, it's not gonna look the same as what the order was.
And not look the same as what PSBA has been recommending.
Yes, I mean, for example, a personally directed thing, I can guarantee you will be gone for the new version of the policy.
And not that we have that much of a problem here, unless Mr. Linden wants to turn it up a couple notches.
So realizing that these are first those policies at first read. So you get a chance to look them over, make your suggestions.
Thank you. If that's all, Mrs. Ricino, for policies, anything to add or?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, so we have a few minutes before the meeting starts at 7.
To order, it's March 17th, and it is 7:02, and we'll start with the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll get my agenda back up here. We will start with an announcement. We had an executive session, or we're planning to have an executive session after this JOC meeting for 3 different personnel issues. And can we have a attendance roll, please, Ms. Grant? No.
Mr. Spear,
Here?
Mr. Hallowell,
I am here.
Mr. Cormack,
Here.
Mr. Liak, yeah, Mr. Ott,
Here.
Mr. Chino, here, Mr. Shermer,
Here.
Mr. Rice,
Here.
Count 8 as well. Okay, Dr. Herrera, we can start with your report.
Okay, so we have a lot of.
Wait, hold on. We normally do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm filling in at the last second here, so this is all new to me.
You knew about 2 hours ago.
Okay, yes, we will start with the, you may have known. We'll start with public comment. Is there any public comment here or online?
Yes.
We have one chat. We have a yes
Nancy.
from Nancy O. Can we unmute her, Adrian?
Hi, can you hear me? It's Nancy Overton.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, I have some comments or questions about a couple of items on the agenda.
Can you give this certain please?
Can you hear me? Shall I continue?
Yes, we need your resume.
The particular one, 317 conduct and disciplinary procedures. I see that all the violations would be referred to the executive director or designee. My question is, what if the executive director is the one violating the policy? Is there a provision for that situation? And the other one, 317-1, educator misconduct. I would hope that those standards would be applied to all employees, not just educators. So that's what my comments on those policies. On the personnel recommendations, I just wanted to note that I'm very sad that Dennis Nolan is resigning. And it's, to me, another example of the far-reaching and ongoing collateral damage of our situation at tech school. And I had a question about the long-term sub for HVAC and wondered what that person's qualifications or certifications were. And if the board would ever consider or have reached out to the teacher that they furloughed when they hired Mr. Walliyoung. So that's it for my comments.
Thank you. We'll look into those and consider them. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we will now move on to Dr. Herrera's report.
Does everyone feel comfortable over here? Would you like to go to the podium? Who wants to stay here? Raise your hand. You want to stay right there? All right. So, Upper Bucks County Technical School honors and celebrates Women's History Month. So the best way to do that is to celebrate the achievements of our alumni, current students, and parents. We're fortunate to have such education, government, labor, business, and industry support in Bucks County. It's not by chance or by accident. In 2016, we signed a construction alliance with Associated Builders and Contractors to promote trades, especially construction and all of our different programs. We have a great relationship with Broccolani Manufacturing, who recently, again, shared some statistics that 30% of the industry right now in manufacturing is female. They're also, like us, using their success stories to promote involvement in getting students interested. This year's theme is Gender Equity Today for Sustainable Tomorrow. The theme for International Women's Day earlier in the month was Break the Bias. Representative Stats made some legislation about pre-apprenticeship program at the same time, which really benefits Upper Bucks County Tech School. He couldn't be here tonight. Our alumni, current students, and those not yet enrolled will benefit from that in these high-skilled, high-wage jobs. We consider ourselves essential workers, and we have been in through the pandemic, working day in and day out. I'd like to introduce you to Anna Marie D'Alessio, Talent Acquisition Manager at Clover. We're very proud of Anna, her support throughout the years, and she's going to introduce some success stories that are in the field. Anna?
Thank you. My name is Anna D'Alessio. I am the Talent Acquisition Manager at Clover. Clover, we are both a construction company where we perform commercial carpentry services all over southeastern Pennsylvania, as well as we manufacture wall panel systems. So we're very unique in that we're both construction and manufacturing. The alliance that we have through the Associated Builders and Contractors, but really through the schools, have been an amazing source of talent for us. I'm very proud of Najomi, Abigail, and Amber, who all work for us. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Amber is actually graduating from our apprenticeship this year and will be the first female apprentice that we've had. And she will be considered a journeyman carpenter and a state certified journeyman. So this is a testament to how important it is to have not only the alliances with ABC or with schools, but also the schools being supportive of really encouraging non-traditional, possibly by gender, types of occupations, because we really do crave, and as someone who is a woman in construction as well, feel that it's really important that you have diversity of thought and that the industry just continues to get better with their participation. And I'm very proud of them. They've all been very good, and each of them in a very short period of time have been promoted and are in leadership roles, and they just continue to be a great reflection on the types of relationships that we have with Upper Bucks County.
Amber, you did really well in the competition, drywall. Do you want to say anything?
Sure. I started here at UBCTS in 2016. I graduated in 2018. And in those years, I found that through being in tech, through getting exposure to more, I guess, non-traditional trades, through to blue-collar work in general, I found something that really clicked for me. While I enjoyed academics, it wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. I had no idea what I was going to do post high school, but going into construction and getting that immediate satisfaction of seeing work that I put up be immediately done, have it be ready to go, it brought a satisfaction to me that I have pretty much never lost. I didn't do co-op, which is you go to school part-time, you work part-time with Clover, because I was in our shop here at UBCTS pretty much my entire time here. But as soon as I got out of high school, Anna picked me up, and I have enjoyed my my apprenticeship at Clover since. Like Dr. Herrera said, I am graduating this year, and it has been a wild ride, but I don't think I would trade it for anything.
Abigail Jacobs, Pennsylvania State Skills USA Gold Medal winner in the sculpture competition and bronze in the national competition. Graduated last year, doing well. Abigail, thank you. Would you like to? Yeah.
I'm really more talkative.
Talk about your co-op.
I really loved the co-op. It was a great opportunity because I knew when I got into the shop here, I started here in 2018 and I graduated just last year in 2021. That was something. Being on co-op was so much to me because I knew even when I came here that as soon as I picked up a rod, I loved it. Like there was nothing else I would want to do for the rest of my life. And just going to co-op really drove that home that like, this is what I want to do. I didn't really know what type of welding I wanted to go into, like if I wanted to go into pipeline or fabrication or just repair work. And Anna somehow grabbed me. I don't know how she ended up doing that, but here I am. And I love prefab. Like it's the coolest thing. I'm in the shop and I'm making these panels that get sent to Naomi and she carpenters them and then they get sent out to Amber and she puts them up in the field. And it's so cool being like, I'm the first step, like, and I don't get to really see the end step entirely until I drive past it one day on my way home from work. But it's cool because I know what it looks like in the end and it's awesome being able to be a part of that. I can go places and I can see them and sometimes I go out to the field and that's cool too, but we get to make stuff and every single day we made the St. Luke's Hospital. I drive home every single day past St. Luke's, the new Bucks County campus, and I get to see that and I get to see the new one that we're doing coming up. And it's just so cool to be able to see it like through the process and be able to be like, you're driving with your friends and be like, yeah, I made that. And they're like, wow. And like my friends don't think anything of it. They're all nurses. But like it's cool to me. Like it's super cool to me that I'm like, yeah, I only got burned a few times doing that. But you know, it's hard work and like I don't know why I love it, but here I am and I'm loving every second of it.
So have you seen one of your pieces hanging from the crane, like about to be installed? And...
Yeah, normally when I get out to do out to the field, I end up doing repair work.
No, I mean when you're driving by, when you're watching the build.
Yeah, currently they're doing the elevator shafts over on St. Luke's, the new campus. But I will one day, I'll be driving past and I'll see my panel going up. And I'll be the weirdo that's like looking for the number and I'll be like, that's mine, I made that in the shop last week. So I do that. They go to carpentry, I'm like, I made that one. And they're like, well, here it is, it's done. Do you want to look at it again? And I'm like, yeah.
Thanks, Tom. Naomi, you took a different career path than you originally started with, and that's okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your story, the program that you started in, and where you're at now?
Okay. So I started Upper Bucks back in 2015 in carpentry, and I slowly learned how to do everything there, learned how to use tools, what they are, anything about that. In 2018, I actually had a conversation with Anna, and she wanted her presentation down in Tech, and was offered a co-op position. I took the position working at Clover. I graduated in 2019 under the getting offered full-time. I was in the prefab shop, learning how to do drywall installation and woodblocking, and was offered to also be an apprentice out in the field, which I took the offer. However, it really wasn't for me, and I didn't have a conversation with Anna, saying that preferably I would like to stay in the shop. Luckily, there wasn't any issue, and I was given the chance to go back in the shop. I stayed in the shop, and I got promoted back in December 2020 to the sheeting foreman, and so far I've been along with that position. During the time of like 2018, 2020, I was also offered to learn how weld, so I'm actually certified in how weld right now through a company. And I was, there's times I'll be welding in full time, other times I'll be down machining or learn how to truckload and try to load trailers. It's been a lot of experience I've learned through there, and honestly, it's been fun trying to learn everything.
Nice job. We appreciate you coming back and talking to our students. And that brings us to the next group. Kylie Mcgraw is a senior in our carpentry program, first honor student, outstanding level 1 award in her program, and a cooperative education student at Cider Press. And Kylie, you want to say a few words about?
Sure. I'm a year 4 in carpentry, and I really love the opportunity to get to learn everything. And I originally went into it because my aunt also does carpentry. So when I was younger, I started learning how to do these things, and I'm great in school, but it's just not what I wanted to do. So I was excited to go into the tech school, and they introduced it to us in the 8th grade. And I love my job where I'm at now.
Nice. Thank you. Awesome. Nice job. Katie Boffman is a sophomore in our machining and engineering technology program, first honor student, won first place in automated manufacturing team in the Skills USA district competition. They're going to represent us in April in Hershey. You're on our comprehensive local needs assessment as a student rep. So Katie, would you like to say a few words?
How long have you been in tech school?
I've been in tech school for 2 years now.
What's your favorite part of machining?
Honestly, I like the manual machines and doing things by hand. As much as the G code is fun to see the machine running super fast and all these chips flying everywhere, it's nice to feel how the metal moves when I'm moving the tool.
That's great. Future plans?
I want to become a mechanical engineer after.
So in the summer, I'm her mom. So we're looking to start dual enrollment in the summer at Messiah University to get her engineering degree.
And you participate in the Let's Build camp, right?
Yes, and I'll be doing that again this year.
And Let's Build camp is for female students in construction through ABC. Anyone else participate in that? So we'll be sending it out to the schools as a great recruiting tool for us. Ms. Buffett, thank you. You're our parent rep. You give so much. You're #1 tweeter. And would you like to say anything? We appreciate your contributions to the school.
I love to see how it grows and how they're opening up everything. Like they're trying to reach out to everybody to make everybody be successful and not just go through the steps. Okay, we're in 8th grade, we're in 9th grade. They're making them be successful for when they do fly off of high school, somewhere to go. And I think that's what so many kids need, that opportunity
We appreciate
to
it.
have someplace to go.
Proud parent of two students here, and we appreciate it.
And I'll give you some advice too. The manual machining is still a thing. At my place, we build like prototypes and all, and we're still doing them on Bridgeports and lathes by hand. So it's not a dead art. And I'm glad that you're interested.
Okay, we'll appreciate everyone. Any questions for them?
That's great.
Before we go?
Great stories.
Yeah, okay, round of applause, thank you. For the meeting. We won't hold it against you.
We're too cool for school. I graduated from here.
I did my job.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome words.
Thank you.
Thank you. My second presentation, we have Kip Anthony from EF Labs here. We talked about manufacturing and the importance in Bucks County, in Pennsylvania, and in the country right now. He's a bigwig. He's part of the excellent with the Mr. Anthony, Mr. Funder. We have to continually promote it because it's both for education and workforce development. So I asked Mr. Anthony to come here just to do a brief presentation on where we are, or where we've been, where we are, and where we're going to be with manufacturing at the tech school.
Awesome, thank you very much. Mind if I stand?
Nope.
I'm the guy that goes and moves a little bit, so it's just more comfortable for me. So I have just a couple thoughts, hopefully they'll pull together to provide some insight for you. So my name is Kip, thank you for the introduction. I do run a manufacturing company. I actually run a couple of different things included in so first of all, we have a core manufacturing company that produces electronic, high-tech electronics. Second, we have a company that's written several of the standards for the world on electrostatic testing. We also have a makerspace where we're incubating early-stage companies, trying to help them learn how to make things and grow up so they can have their own facilities, hopefully locally in Percy. And ultimately, we have an angel group we've established that helps fund those companies and move them forward. So that's kind of a little bit of what we're doing in the Spark Technology Center, right down by the railroad, downtown Percy. So that being said, I'd like to go and acknowledge the great partner that this institution has been to us. We have in our midst every day, Thomas, Dominic, Jacob will be coming back this summer. We also have Caleb, and they represent the future of the company. And I'm going to change my sequence. The reason they represent the future of the company, and I think it's important to this board, is fundamentally, we have a bit of a generational gap. I know how to make stuff. And there's probably some other gray hair around who potentially knows how to make stuff. There's a bit of a gap from me when I know how to make stuff to, we outsourced to China for 20 years because that was the hot thing to do. And we lost a generation that really knows how to make stuff very well. So we don't have these young manufacturing engineers, and we don't have some of the people that are sitting in their 20s and 30s that really know how to solve problems, do root cause analysis and things like that, that I know how to do. And so we now have it incumbent upon us to recognize there's a gap here, and the students that are in this institution right now are going to be filling that gap. And it will be the engine for our future, because this will be fun. Hope this works for everybody. Because we got this funny thing called Industry 4.0 that's facing us down. And it has these interesting words that are associated with it, like decentralization. So instead of going on these great big plants out in places, we're going to go do smaller plants because they're going to be more agile and they're going to have more flexible processes. So that means that, you know, we're going to need maybe have in our region the capability to build some of these things and the expertise to do that in a more regionalized basis. So that's coming on us at the same time we have the skills gap that really know how to make stuff. Kind of a contradictory problem that we have to figure out how to solve. Then there's visualization, real-time response, modularity, and all these kind of flexible, interesting words that are really like, okay, how do we interpret all that stretches us in industry and stretches the educators also to sit there and say, so what's education 4.0 look like? I'm sure it's something you guys talk about. I know it's out there, and I know that they link. So coming back around to basic point then, that our company currently is, you know, a diverse group of individuals, so education, race, sex, and our belief systems. You know, we do really represent the world in many ways when we come together to make things every day. And how do we contribute to the community is we make things that really are important. We literally, interestingly enough, out of one of our early stage companies, we ended up making the control systems that ended up being used by Moderna, J&J, and Pfizer, all three, to produce coronavirus vaccine. So we've been busy boys for the last couple of years, and I'm delighted to see it winding down a little bit, so we're gonna have a chance to breathe again. We also make mesh internet products that when you have disaster relief, or say you are sitting in an unfortunate situation in Ukraine right now, and you lose your internet coverage in a city, and you need to get it back up and somehow, you can go and take these modular systems, and they'll go, and a few of them will go and interlink with each other, create a hub of communication again. So make things that matter. And so as a community, we collectively, and the team matters. We help people. We help make lives better. We improve quality of life. You know, when we think about the context of manufacturing, importance of manufacturing historically has driven the superpowers of the planet. From the Industrial Revolution forward, Britain, interesting enough, will throw in Belgium, ended up being an early powerhouse because Belgium developed industrial capabilities. But it moved on then to, you know, Soviet Union, United States, and China, all being powerhouses. And it was based on our ability to produce stuff. It wasn't based on warehouses or other things like that. And no offense to anybody involved in warehousing, but fundamentally, manufacturing fueled those economies and the power of those nations. And so it's important for us to retain our position in the world stage to recognize that we need to be there again. So right now, we talked about the outsourcing drive. Well, the geopolitical world has changed in the last 22 days. It's creating, and it started to turn the corner where, because we had 106 ships stacked up off of California and other things, started to have people start to reshore. We're having reshoring efforts is coming in where we'll say this idea where we talked about the decentralization and we want to go and be more regionally able to produce things again, is creating pressure for students and needs and capability. Overlay on top of that, the realities of geopolitical risk and the cost of transportation. Recently, an early stage company I'm working with paid $20,000 for the transport costs for a shipping container from China to here. And you think about the freight costs. They have 400 units that goes in and will fit into a container. You think about the cost, right, of that. We can literally, for what they have just in the shipping costs now, we can assemble for them for less than that, do the assembly in our facility, which hopefully we'll be doing in the next year. Paramount Capitaline's opportunity is we need to meet the demand of capable employees and also physical facilities. But so where do we come together and meet is working with the schools, with the school boards, and hopefully with local government to come together and develop out that future labor force. Understanding and collaborating to understand what we need to have capable people that we can assimilate as quickly as possible, understanding things like crimping and running wiring and machining and using the manual machines. By the way, great point, and I love that because really that teaches you the basics. And pulling that all together so that we can assimilate these people as cost effectively as possible into producing value for the company, for the community, and for our regional economies, and for the individual, because they ultimately benefit out of this. I mean, we share very directly back to our employees, profit out of the company to try to improve their lifestyle and to make sure that they can progress forward. I think that there's an opportunity for local industry to collaborate with the school system. There are things that our children, I have two boys and I've watched through this, they've lost a little bit of touch with the world. They think that a joystick for an Xbox or a PlayStation is how you interface with the world, and learning to go back and touch the world is an important thing we can bring to them. Things that I have done before and I've seen done before is that we have, when you teach Henry Ford, one opportunity in the school system to get an early touch and think about manufacturing differently, to say, some of you may, if you had any involvement in manufacturing, may have heard something it's called Lean 101. It's a little, you basically show how to use an assembly line to make maybe a Lego block airplane or something else. And you teach them the idea of an assembly line and a real hands-on exercise at an early stage instead of showing a picture of the Model A assembly line. I moved up here from Springford, and we used to do that at 4th grade in Springford, and the kids loved doing it. They thought it was great. They went home with a Lego block airplane. They thought it was the best thing ever, but it gave them a sense of a real hands-on basis of what manufacturing was about, and it was fun. We can work with the schools and the local government to facilitate, tours of the facilities, because some of the facilities have some really cool stuff in them. And it's not dirty, it's not loud, it's not grungy. I mean, we've got speakers, it could be like a restaurant. Our lounge and our cafeteria could be used as a restaurant. We have a fireplace in our cafeteria, we have a pool table, we have a shuffleboard table, we've got an Xbox so they can play during breaks. I mean, it's nice. I hang out there sometimes after work when I want to chill out and I don't want anybody bothering me. So, the environment has changed. We need to let them know that hey, this is cool. So as we think about those opportunities, what the industry can work with, the school boards can work with the schools and the educational system, we come back to them to ask to say, the triad this pulls around to local government also being collaborative, because what I'm talking about is a raw capacity expansion problem. There's going to need to be more teachers. There's going to need to be more technical and technology, because we're talking about the digital interface with the world and how that manifests itself. We'll have to have an ongoing basis because the rate of change is accelerating, and that reinvestment in technology. So that's going to be critical, and ultimately possibly more physical facilities, because I think this demand will continue to grow. If we're going to rebuild where we were and bring that back to this country, we're gonna have to work together, all three of us, mutually investing and mutually trusting to go and move us forward where we need to be to sustain our position in the global stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have one question, like, when you said that the kids now think a joystick is the future, but, to some degree, manufacture, design, all that stuff has changed, and I think getting 3D printers into elementary schools is important. It gets them interested in wanting to build stuff. Back in the 30s, people used Tinker Toys and Lincoln Logs to get their kids into building. Now, they use 3D printers and...
You have a machine shop to take it, right?
Somewhat.
Very small. Let me just for 1 second kind of respond to this, because I think this is a really great illustration. I agree with you. So I had a sprocket I needed. Mind you, because of global supply chain disruption, I couldn't get a silly sprocket that was required to go make a plasma generating device that could be basically used to code the Mir 5 satellites if you want to. Anyways, I couldn't get a sprocket. So my engineer, who was a recent graduate from a very reputable regional school, goes and gets a quote for a sprocket for $1,000 to have a 3D printer. Okay? And I look at it and I said, well, there's a few different ways you can make this puppy.
Yeah.
I said you could water jet it, you could laser it, you could go and do secondary operations around off the teeth on the lathe. So there's a lot of ways to do it. Going back to the young lady who worked off the manual machines.
And that's
3D printing isn't always a solution. Sometimes understanding the basics. We start out with the fundamentals of math and we build up the increasingly complicated math. Going back to the basics is also very, very important. And it was kind of funny to me that this engineer, I ended up walking him through, and we went to talk to a local machine shop. So what are my options to make this?
Yeah.
Well, I walked him through it also, because you're right, 3D printing does a lot, but
I'm just saying, to get kids involved, to get kids to want to do it, because they can build stuff in Minecraft and, I'm talking elementary kids.
I know.
And then those are the kids that want to come here. So I'm even going back a little earlier in the timeline. You said these kids here are the future. I'm looking at the kids in elementary school, saying they're the future kids that are coming here.
And that's why I was talking about if you go and you do something like Lean 101 at the 4th grade level, you start getting them to think about the possibilities in the world in a little different way.
Yeah, no, it's all great ideas.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you, Mr. Huntley. We appreciate it.
I'll sit for a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Tom Beatty is not able to join us for Student of the Month. Tom is not feeling well. We hope you feel better. Is a senior electrical technology program. He's a first honor student and employed by Indian Creek Electric. He recently completed at the skills competition and placed second in electrical construction and wiring. Thomas will be inducted into the NTHS on March 28th. Indian Creek Electric President Timothy Johnson wrote, Tom has been working for us for a year. He's a testament to the Upper Buck County Technical School of producing quality students. Tom is a hard worker who utilizes his mental and physical skills to produce quality electrical work every day. Overall, Tom exemplifies the ideal apprentice coming out of high school. We at Indian Creek Electric are honored and proud to have him on our team. After graduation, Thomas plans to continue with the electrical trades. So Thomas, although you're not here to join us, we're very proud of you and appreciate all that you do to represent Upper Bucks Tech School at Indian Creek and throughout your career. And that is my report. The budget overview we will go over at the Finance Committee report. And Don Barn donated 4 pieces of flat bar, which our welding program cuts into 6-inch pieces, bevels it, tacks it together for students to practice on their welds. So we thank you, Don, for your generous contribution. I'm not going to go through my newsletter today. It's under the Assistant Director's report. I'm very, very proud of all of the great things happening at the tech school. And that's my report.
Thank you. And now we can move on to the Facilities Subcommittee. And I guess I can do that if you're sick of talking.
Sure. Not sick of talking, but you do a great job.
We reviewed a comprehensive study that we had done through SiteLogic of our facilities here. And we have a preliminary list that we are gonna mull over and try and prioritize, and then get a updated dashboard from SiteLogic so we can build a long-term facilities plan. Also, we will be discussing later a custodial contract tonight, and I just lost my agenda.
The OSHA tour will be April 1st.
Yes, OSHA is
Tour.
visiting for a tour on April 1st. That's it, right? So now it's finance. And Teresa, this is your big meeting with your preliminary budget.
Well, I was told just to do a recap, so. So the budget for the 22-23 school year, excuse me, we will have an increase of the projected revenue of $497,000 over the current year, which is about a 5.32% increase. That's based on subsidies and contributions from the sending schools, as well as the grant funding for the ESPA, the ESSER's ARP 2.5% set-aside grant. The Act 1 index for the current year is 3%, for 22-23 will be at 3.4%. The total projected expenditures for the 22-23 year is going to be increased by $300,000 from the committee's recommendation up to $12,021,949. So I will update those budget documents and get that out to everyone on the JOC. We're going to have a $776,000 money that was sent back to the sending school. That was coming from fund balance for the ag building renovations. The budget includes a new program, additional facilitators, increase in shop supplies, utilities, projected support for the food service fund, and also now we are going to have an extra $300,000 in there for additional teachers and supplies and whatever needs to increase enrollment even further. So I think that's pretty much it for that. Anybody have anything else they want to add anything to that?
You could just add that what each of the sending schools are gonna be responsible for, you're gonna break it down.
So for Palisades, it'll be an $884,000 for the 22-23, and that's after the adjustment of the $100,000. There was a decrease from the formula because of an overage for the 2021 school year ending. And then Penridge will be at 3.4 million and Quakertown will be at 3.7 million, and that is based on the 5-year ADMs, which Palisades is 11.3%, Penridge is 42.69%, and Quakertown is at 46.3%. Okay. And the bills were all looked at, everything was okay, reports were. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions about the budget? Okay, so we can move on to policy subcommittee report. And I don't know if Ms. Rashino or Ms. Cram wants to do that. Okay, I think Ms. Rashino.
You're okay.
She's taking notes for everybody, so.
Yeah, she's got enough to worry about. Okay, so the policy committee met today at 6:45. We have several policies in various stages. We have 4 policies in committee right now: policy 318, 319, 320, 321, and 322. Excuse me. Then we have policies in first reading: 309, 314, 317, and 317.1. And then we have a lengthy list of policies in second reading, which is 301, 302, 304, 305, 306, which would be a deletion, 307, 335, 610, 612, and 613. So all of our policies that are under second reading are being presented for board approval tonight. The others will continue to be reviewed.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion.
No. And the program subcommittee, we'll leave that one to Dr. Herrera since Megan had this stuff out.
Okay, the feedback from our students and parents who were recognized, the Skills USA District medal winners was very, very positive. Andy Hammer, who's the director of Skills USA for the region, congratulated Upper Bucks on earning the most medals at the competition. He attributed our success to keeping students in person during the pandemic and said it was evidence. They didn't miss a beat. So kudos to the JOC, the teachers, the students during that time for working hard and representing us at the competition. Enrollment is our lifeline at UBCTS. We have 0 students that have to come to us, and we are unique during that same meeting in that because of the pandemic and because of what's going on, our numbers are going up, but not all of the schools are in that same boat. They asked what our secret was. Very simple. Online enrollment system, social marketing, support of JOC, sending schools, excellent faculty that care, go above and beyond, and students. So thank you for your support. We anticipate, we did an enrollment update, full enrollment next year. We have some students that are on the waiting list, and we have to find ways to be creative to serve as many students as possible. We had a comprehensive local needs assessment with business, industry reps, student parents that helped us with the plan. I want to thank them publicly. Exercise science and sports technology has 41 students that are placed, 33 new students and 8 transfers. So we're at full enrollment for next year. We talked about the National Technical Honor Society. We started that in 2014. The concern was, can it continue? There was a long wait. Since that time, we've inducted 271 students, 4 honorary members. We partnered with Paul Lorenz and Percy Rotary to promote service opportunities, giving back where much is given, much is expected. We're reading the bios, and that next induction ceremony is going to be on March 28th. We have 25 students that have submitted applications that are very excited. Mrs. Nice, who has contributed so much over the years, is writing those bios, and it's great. We had one student last year who was an Eagle Scout. He had great success here, and we just noted that there's 3 Eagle Scouts this year. So we also inducted honorary members. Proud to state Dr. Diamond and Mr. Linden, who's in the audience tonight, for their contributions, will be recognized on the 28th. Mr. Linden, you want to say anything? Put you on the spot?
No, don't put me on the spot.
Okay. And I believe that is our program.
Okay, there's a lot going on, and the enrollment is definitely a positive moving forward.
Yes.
And it's a good problem to have. So now we're at the point of our consent agenda. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 items on there.
And can I jump in real quick, unless you're going to about, this looks a little different than previous months?
Yes, you can jump in.
Okay, so almost everything, well, everything that has gone through committee is now part of the consent agenda as of this month. So I've spoken with Ms. Vanis Clemens and Mr. Spear. If anybody wants something pulled out of the consent agenda, now's the time to say, yeah, we want this out. Otherwise it can't be.
Well, yeah, so we can, that was my question, is I was gonna say we can vote on all 12 of these items. If somebody wants to make a motion to do that, somebody can make a motion to pull one item out. again, once someone makes the motion and someone seconds it, we can have discussion on everything as well. So, if you guys are okay with that, I will move ahead. So I should read every one of these items then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Item A is the approval of the February minutes. Item B is the approval or the consideration of the February financial reports. Item C is the March bills payable. Item D, personnel recommendations. Item E is the 22-23 Upper Bucks Technical School calendar. Item F is the Technology Pool Consortium agreement with Sweet Stevens, Katz, and Williams through the Bucks County IU. Item G is revised policies 301, 302, 304, 305, 306. 306 is a deletion. 307, 335, 610, 612, and 613 is distributed in February and recommended by the Policy Subcommittee. Item H is to revise the motion from June 17th, 2021 for the 2021-22 purchase and installation of network switches. Again, the network switches. Pending E-rate funding approval not to exceed $32,600 to increase the not to exceed amount to $40,000. Item I is to reappoint Tracy Cram to serve as the Upper Bucks Technical School Management Trustee to the Delaware Valley Health Trust for a 3-year period from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Item J is the proposed budget for 22-23 school year and for its submission for final approval. Item K is a custodial contract with C&J Environmental for the amount of $135,000 for 1 year of service, starting March 25th, 22 through March 24th, 23, pending solicitor's review. And item L is to begin the program planning and approval process to open a new program, Exercise, Science, Sports, and Technology, SIP 51.2604. Okay, we can, if anyone would like to make a motion to approve all 12 of these items.
I'll make a motion to approve A through L. That's all.
Okay.
Second motion?
Now we'll have a discussion on that. Does anybody have any questions, comments? I just had one. Item L, is this begin program planning or is this approve the program to operate? It's just the wording of it says, in item L says begin program planning and approval process.
It's essentially a ministerial approval by the JOC under your own policy to let the rest of it will happen through the executive director's office, but it just gives.
We're giving them the green light to go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, does anyone have any other questions or comments? Do you want us to take a roll call?
We can do voice vote.
Okay, we'll just do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Number 8, and I will have to refer to David Kahn on this one as well. Do I have to read this entire statement?
No.
Okay, I'm not very good at that. This is long.
We should announce what it's about, which is just to authorize someone else to be authorized as the e-signature.
Okay, yeah, would you like to?
That's it.
That's it. To sum this up, this authorizes, I guess, Dr. Herrera to be able to sign for our grants and funding and stuff.
Second. Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Now we are up to a second public comment session. Does anyone have any public comment? Is there anyone online with any public comment? Okay. Well, now we will open it up to JOC concerns. Oh, sorry, there's an announcement. The next regular JOC board meeting is scheduled for April 21st, 2022 at, it says 8 p.m. on here, we're gonna stick with 8 p.m.? Okay, yeah, 8 p.m. in the JOC boardroom number 205 for JOC members, UBCTS administration and public attendance or via Zoom. Now, we are at the second public comment.
No, JOC concerns.
Oh, sorry, JOC concerns. I did put my glasses on and I'm still missing it. Is there any JOC concerns? Oh, we're not there yet. Okay, now we are there. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion.
I think you got Mr. Ott and Mr. Rice, you can figure it out. Okay, meeting, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.